England. 1835, writer and humorist Mark Twain, author of Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, is born Samuel Langhorne Clemens in Florida, Missouri. 1999, in Seattle, at least 40,000 protesters, some of whom clash with police, disrupt the opening of the World Trade Organization's meeting. 1929. TV personality and producer Dick Clark, who hosted American Bandstand for decades, is born in Mount Vernon, New York. And 1979,
Hey, teacher, leave them kids alone.
British rock group Pink Floyd releases its best-selling album, The Wall. Today in History, November 30th. Camille Bohannon, The Associated Press.
All right, the only thing I caught out of that, I was too busy doing other stuff. And will you stop it, please? Calm down.
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd. That's all I care about.
I'd like to hear a little more about them.
Well, they
today.
Yes, they did. But I have one before we get into that. I have a Maury Povich story.
Do tell.
All right, it's disgusting.
Oh, good.
And I like to do this because.
Do tell.
All right, now Donnie and L5 will, relate to this anyway. We used to do the show in a studio called Studio 5, L5, A Current Affair. And Maury Povich was the host. Initially, Ward was the audio guy on that show. I think him and Mark McNally. And then I came on board and I took over the show. And I was the main audio guy. Now, I'd have to go down to the set before we went up on the bird, as they call it, before we taped this thing. We used to do what they call live to tape. And I'd just make sure all the equipment is working. Now, these things, you see these things in the ear? I put these earbuds in. In broadcasting, they have the same thing, but they're called IFBs. They're interrupt foldbacks. In other words, you hear the show in your ear, and anybody can interrupt that feed that's going into ear in the control room. Like a director can tell you, okay, this is coming up. We change the story. You can anchor that in their earpiece. So I would have to make sure all that was working. So I would stick it in my ears. Now, I have very waxy ears. Okay, so I remember putting them in, checking it all out, taking it out and looking at it and going, oh, geez, I better clean that. And I forgot about it. So I go back upstairs. The show comes. Maury Povich comes downstairs, picks up the earpiece, looks at it, and puts it in his mouth and cleans it out.
Oh, man. What's wrong with him?
He thought it was his earwax.
You didn't say anything, I
did
hope.
Not. It was my earwax.
Oh, well.
So... just a little tidbit of information here, okay? So, one for Ron.
Would Maury be hearing about this for the first time if he's watching?
If he's watching, yes.
He probably
I know.
Just dropped dead.
Yeah, he's up in his penthouse over there on the west side of Manhattan watching this. Yeah,
I'm sure he is.
I'm sure he is, too. He's in the Dakota building, I think, yeah. Well, he lived there. I don't know if he still lives there.
That's where I would want to live.
That's where John Lennon lived.
Yes, I know.
That's where he got killed, too.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yes, history happens today. Pink Floyd's album went to number 1, The Wall, I think it was, and in right, and in true Ron's Rants fashion, we're paying tribute to Pink Floyd with this.
Thank you. That was called 6 p.m. or 6 p.m.
Well, probably not.
Thank you. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce to you.
All right, it's my great pleasure to say, what the hell just happened there? Yeah. We are not going to hear him.
No?
No, because my program screwed it up.
Oh, pity. All right, I could sing a little.
Oh, boy, we don't want to hear
We
that
don't
either. I know what
need
happened
no
there.
education. Dun, 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 dun.
No, that's the way that
We
works.
don't need no
That was a good piece. We'll play it on Monday.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
And I
Please, for the end of the show. We'll play it
don't
on
need that
Monday.
feedback in my earpiece. Well, that pisses me off. Another thing I could bitch about today. All right, so when I came up to go up on the air again today, the program was not working. I was missing the camera, like I said, and everything. Had to reboot. So when I rebooted it, obviously it corrupted that file in my queue. Nice.
Oh, okay.
So I'm wondering if everything else is going to work today.
Well, we'll just hum a few bars.
Yeah,
And
that's what she said. All right. Okay. Moving right along. Birthday?
Well,
Let's do
I
this.
want to see the cake.
We're going to do the cake. This is going to be funny. Wait a second. Let me get back over here. My mouse is screwing up too. Here we go. Cake time. Happy birthday to...
My dear friend Marina from New York City.
And who else?
Happy birthday, darling.
Okay, happy birthday, Marina.
And there was nobody
else
of any consequence for us
All right.
today, so we decided to skip it.
All right, so Marina,
Yes.
happy birthday. What
Happy
year?
birthday,
How old?
darling. Oh, she's a woman of a certain age. She would never tell her age.
okay.
No, not
All right,
Marina.
All right, so I had a request from the chat room.
Oh, but
For-
but we're going to continue the show anyway.
We're going to continue. No,
Oh, okay.
they
Good.
wanted some Steve Dunleavy stories.
Oh, okay.
Steve Dunleavy was a reporter for. He actually worked on the Sharon Tate murder cases, and also when he was out in California, and the Charlie Manson murder cases. He came back. He was a reporter. He works for the New York Post. He's worked for other news magazines, newspapers. As a reporter, very investigative reporter. He worked on a current affair. Known alcoholic. Drank like, he's an Australian. He drank like a fish. Great guy, but always drunk. 7 o'clock in the morning, drunk. I came into work on a Saturday, working the late shift. You know, Saturday. Preceding Saturday was Friday night. You know,
Oh,
Dunleavy
boy.
was out all night. I come into the current affair offices where nobody is. And I have to make some music. I got to make music up for the show. So on the weekend, that's what I did. I put all the music together for the next week. I go into the music library, and I get in there, and I'm smelling this, cigarette alcohol odor. And I'm like, oof, man, really rank in here. I turn on the lights, and I look down, and there's Dunleavy lying on the floor. I mean, passed out. I thought he was dead. All right? Now, this was at 2:30 in the afternoon. So I grab all the stuff, and I'm tiptoeing around, grab all my music, tapes, and, LPs, and whatever else I had, CDs. Go upstairs, do my job, and do the news at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, I go upstairs to bring all the stuff back so I can go home. I walk in, turn on the lights, and Dunleavy's still on the floor.
Oh, my God.
Still there, all right? And still passed out. Now, that's, 8 or 9 hours later. He's still in the same spot, hasn't moved. I thought he was dead. So I said, I wonder what I should do. Put everything away, turned off the lights, and left. I went home and
That's what I do.
waited for the next week to hear any kind of news on if
Right.
Is Dunleavy
Dead or alive.
Dead or alive. One more Dunleavy story since you asked. We used to go out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and in front of the building we'd have a break time, and all the engineers would come out, and we'd hang around the front of the building, smoke cigarettes, talk shop, whatever. And across the street was the racing club, which is the place where everybody would go and drink before, during, and after work, shows, whatever. Well, Dunleavy had been in there all day, and it's like 3:30 in the afternoon. He comes out staggering drunk as we're standing out there 3:30 in the afternoon, and his limo is waiting for him. And he walks out with one of the biggest load of women I've ever seen. She stood about 5 foot even and weighed about 210 pounds. And he's walking arm in arm.
boy.
She's holding him up. He gets around to the back of the limo, and he throws her on the trunk, and he starts humping her.
Stop.
In the middle of the
Oh, my
daytime.
God.
We were howling. All right, no clothes came off. He was just humping her. He's just humping her.
Gross.
But
Good God.
that was Dunleavy.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he's still alive.
Is he still in the biz?
I think he's retired. He
Oh, I
might do.
hope so.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
there were rumors that he had cancer and everything, and I thought he was going to die, but no. One of our good friends, the Catman, was good friends with him. So, all right.
Well, L5 concurs with everything you just said.
Yes, it's true. And he's right that ACA was actually put together in the bar across the street. That's where a lot of the work
Cool.
was done with the Australians.
Well,
They
you can
drank.
get a lot- oh, my God, do they ever?
Boy, did they drink.
Oh, my God, do they ever?
It was great.
Yeah.
I loved them. They were
they're
fun
the
to be
best.
around. They were
damn-
carefree. They
They
had
were
demands and
fun.
everything, but they were fun.
Yeah.
Fun. Pickled. Yes,
Yeah.
pickled is right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So I think that we killed the. I think that killed the time for Pink Floyd, didn't it?
I could have sang.
Yeah, well, you know, I think my stories would have been a little bit better.
I hope so.
All right. So here we go into. Now this is an interesting. Now we get a little serious in the show.
Oh, this is excellent.
This is an excellent piece.
What in the world do you have?
All right.
What makes you itch? What sort of a situation would you like? Let's suppose, I do this often in vocational guidance of students. They come to me and say, well, we're getting out of college and we haven't the faintest idea what we want to do. So I always ask the question, what would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life? Well, it's so amazing. As a result of our kind of educational system, crowds of students say, well, we'd like to be painters, we'd like to be poets, we'd like to be writers, but as everybody knows, you can't earn any money that way. Or another person says, well, I'd like to live an out-of-doors life and ride horses. I say, do you want to teach in a riding school? Let's go through with it. What do you want to do? When we finally got down to something which the individual says he really wants to do, I will say to him, you do that. And forget the money. Because